0 players on the floor. The clock hit 0.
The NBA playoffs have arrived!
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
They playing the gyms.
Warren got his mask on, NBA. Oh, hey, come on, Taylor.
Next time I'll be on time.
Be on time.
So, luckily, playoffs are underway, and while the games are fun, there are a couple series that look like they have the potential to end up being some sweeps. Get out the brooms, folks. Alrighty, headed to Sixers Celtics, game 1 for them.
Hey Jason, we wish we were there in the bubble with you to support you, but know that you have our 1000% support from home. 1, 2, 3. Good luck!
Gordon Hayward went down with an injury in game 1 against the Sixers. After the game, Brad Stevens said it was a sprained ankle.
Sprained ankle. Don't know the severity, but he's clearly in pain and looked like it had some swelling already.
But then we saw Gordon walk out with crutches. So fingers crossed it isn't too bad, but doesn't look great.
Final score, Philadelphia 76ers, 106, Boston Celtics, 110.
One of the best things to do at the end of these long days, you see these heels? It's not gonna work as I get to the bus. Pro tip, you always, always, always have flats you don't care about that you can throw off. So we got a bus to catch. So you have been playing great basketball. You seem to be having fun out there. You're winning. What is it about the Miami Heat specifically that has allowed you to thrive at this level?
I get to be me. I get to cuss people out when they're not doing their job. I'm gonna cuss me out when I'm not doing mine. We don't take nothing personal. It's on to the next play because everybody knows that whenever I say something, I mean well. It may not come out the right way, but I mean well, and it goes that way across the board.
There are so many games, so many practices happening every single day, but we still are in the midst of some competitive playoff series. We've got Bucks Magic, who need to continue their games. There's Lakers Blazers, Rockets Thunder, Jazz Nuggets, Clippers Mavericks. Yeah, those are the ones that are left. So still some series left, still teams fighting for a win, trying to make it to the second round. So expect some big finishes.
How do you get the squad to meet that standard of day one? Of course, we've all been there a million times. So how does that play out for you?
I'm not smiling at your question. Anthony is behind the silly stuff I call Anthony. Hey. Yeah. I'll call you Anthony. I'll make you remember.
No, the Browns about to play in the Super Bowl, so
Oh, okay. I'll see you in a little bit.
Game over. Lakers win. All right, I only have one game today. Lakers Blazers, game 3. Series is split. Who's winning it? Who's winning it today?
basket, Davis.
So the officiating in the bubble so far has been a little shaky. It feels like they're calling technicals on things that wouldn't normally be techs, a lot of foul calls. I wonder how much the lack of a crowd has to do with that, but it hasn't been the best. Mavs versus Clippers. Porzingis got ejected and it was weak. Weak call. Weak sauce. You know, when it comes to playoff time, every single thing counts, right? And if you aren't in the game, people are thinking about, okay, maybe the outcome was different if Kristaps was in the game. How do you get over that? Thinking about maybe what your absence did.
Yeah, there's really not much to do there. You know, you can think about the possibilities, but it is what it is at this point. You know, we're already past this game, and we're gonna look at the mistakes we made and things we can do better for the second game. And our belief is still strong that we can beat these guys. You know, and that's it. If we didn't have that belief, we shouldn't be here anyway. You know? So that's our mindset going into the second game.
This is the face of a very sad person. I'm sad because yesterday I missed the overtime game between the Rockets and the Thunder. Then today I missed a monster performance by Luka and an OT win from the Mavericks, beating the Clippers and tying up the series. Because I didn't submit for that game. I missed it. Probably the best game of the bubble.
Hey Dan, so obviously last game you have 57 points, today you have 30. How have you almost become, you know, a chameleon? You can always adapt to like what the team needs from you at any given moment or any given game. How have you been able to do that?
The biggest thing for me is just trying to, like you said, just reading the situation. You know, I think I said it earlier, like my first 2 years, I kind of saw the rim, you know, and then being a scorer. And now it's kind of, you know, I pride myself over quarantine, just kind of becoming a playmaker, you know, finding ways to get the team involved. But it may not always be, you know, scoring, you know, and I think today just really trusted my teammates and they did a hell of a job to you know what I mean, Rudy, Joe, JC, Royce, everybody, you know, to be able to not just hit shots, but be ready and make plays. And I think that's what made it easy for me.
Okay, I'm here at Jazz versus Nuggets. When I had Rudy Gobert on my show one year, he was talking about how people don't pay attention to the team as much as they should because it's in Utah. And he's kind of right. Media is usually full at these games. It's really just me and Rita hanging out. Shay, I stayed all this time just to get a close-up of your hair.
Dedicated.
Put up in the hands of Gallinari. How much do you attribute
Hey, Russ, I can't hear over here. Thanks. Can't hear. I'm doing interviews. Thank you.
Guess what? You know what they can't put on TV?
I'm sorry.
I don't. You know, it's a new channel.
last two games, there was a...
What's the story?
Yo, wire room? Yo, wire, man.
Only in the bubble, man.
Only in the bubble.
Sitting here waiting for the Lakers-Blazers to start. Right now, the Thunder-Rockets game is in OT. The Thunder are up. The Rockets haven't scored once in all of overtime. I am sick that I'm missing it. Okay, during our game break, eating food, but Magic are playing the Bucks. They're up like 20 points, so I think everybody might have overreacted after game one. The Raptors just swept the Nets, advancing to the second round. But Fred VanVleet didn't want any basketball questions asked at his press conference. He only wanted to talk about Jacob Blake, who was shot by the police in the back multiple times. He was incredibly thoughtful, visibly emotional, had some tears in his eyes, but he is another example of players trying to say, you know, even though we are in the playoffs, there are other things happening in the world that are more important. Hey Fred, so, you know, I know that, you know, pulling up your phone and seeing people that look like you being killed by the police can be a lot. So I guess my question is just, how are you? How are you doing mentally?
I'm a little bit, all over the place. Like I said, you start to feel guilty a little bit. There's a lot of stuff going on for me back home. People in my own community, dying not by the hands of police, but it's by product of the environment. So you try to take all that in, and we're here, we're isolated. My family got to town yesterday. I don't get to see them for another week. So, it would be nice to hug and kiss on my kids a little bit. But yeah, you just try to deal with it, and it's a lot to take in. I think we can't underestimate the trauma that we take in on a daily basis from our phones and watching these videos. And you watch a guy get shot, in front of his entire family, and then right underneath that video is somebody saying, "Hey, well, he should have just listened to the police." So like you take all that in, whether you register it or not, whether you realize what you're looking at or not. Like, you're taking that in, and that depreciation of life, and kind of you get numb to what you're looking at, and you almost start to question yourself, like, damn, like, maybe he should have listened, and you start to think, like, and then you snap back to reality, like, no, that's not right. So it's a lot of emotions to take in. You just try to stay level-headed and bounce ideas off of, we got a tight group here, so like I said, we had a chance to speak this morning, and however you see fit to get that out, you do, but it's a lot, and we're in the middle of it. I mean, it's fresh. So it's fresh, but every time it's fresh, it brings back old stuff and reopens wounds. And my father was killed when I was young, so like, it's just a lot of things that go into, taking all this information in.
There are no players on the floor. The clock hit 0. Players came out and warmed up, but went back, and it seems like the chatter is there will be no Game 5 today. All games have been postponed.
Our focus today cannot be on basketball.
We are calling for justice for Jacob Blake and demand the officers be held accountable.
Okay, August 27th, a day after the NBA postponed their games as players sat out in support of racial equality and social justice. I just got off the phone with some people, and what I'm hearing about the joint call between the owners and players is that it was incredibly productive. The main point was players stressed that they wanted there to be a dedicated coalition that worked within the NBA whose full-time job was to support certain causes at a grassroots level, local activists, funding them, supporting them, amplifying their voice, a full-time coalition dedicated to that. I hear LeBron James was the last player to speak on that call, and he stressed to the owners that this has to be something that they care about past the basketball season. Michael Jordan was also on that call and was an incredibly strong voice as well. Friday, August 28th, this is the first day of practices since the players decided to strike and not play these days of basketball games. I'm headed to the Clippers practice.
Hey Doc, so we talk a lot about perspective, but in years to come, when history tells the story about these past couple days, what story do you want it to tell?
Oh man, Taylor, that's too deep. I want them to tell the story about what they're speaking about now, that the league is doing something. Whenever that story is told, they're talking about what's happening at that moment that it started then. The reason I say that means they're still doing it. And this, I'm just hoping, is not a one hit wonder thing. This has to continue. And I think that's why the coalition is so important. because this is not about just today. Something's going to happen next week, next month, and we have to have a group in place to understand how to handle that and understand how to help the players process through it. And we have to have a group that is working on legislation all the time, not just U.S. but state to state legislation. And so I think that's the story that I want to tell.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the deep question. Appreciate it.
No problem.
The past couple of days is a change for the greater good in the future. When you see change happening in the future, you can look back and say, that was the moment when it happened. And that was a key moment when it happened. Obviously, the bubble season would never be forgotten when it comes to sports. This is the first time we've been able to do something like this. But obviously, this moment is so much bigger than us playing basketball. So hopefully, the initiatives that we came together, that we partnered with, voting and sites and the arenas and things of that nature, hopefully, years on down the line, when America is in a better place, that you can look back to this moment and be like, that was one of the catapults that kind of got it going.
Want to shed some light on what NBA coaches are doing to help this movement. They are playing such a big role in amplifying the voices of the voiceless. I was just on the phone with Atlanta Hawks head coach Lloyd Pierce, and he was actually in the car waiting for a call from Jacob Blake Sr., trying to figure out what they can do to help the situation. I also recently learned that Mavs head coach Rick Carlisle played a pivotal role in some policy change in Dallas. He worked alongside local activists. August 29th, the games are starting back up.
Everything's good?
Oh my gosh, your fist is so much bigger than mine.
It's going up.
Chance. We just wanted a chance. Yeah, Sam, we just want a chance. Yeah, Bello. We just gave ourselves a chance. Game 7, anything can happen.
Where is that coming from? How much is just like that simple line fuel?
It's just, you down 3-2, and like I said, you come into the bubble, it's different. You gotta be packed because the game is 9 o'clock. If you don't win the game, you're going to the airport tomorrow. You know what I mean? So we gave ourselves a chance. That's all you want. Now it's 3-3.
I don't feel good about this for the Jazz.
I know you walked us through the final play and what was going through your head then, but once that was over, you were on the floor for a bit. Can you walk me through the emotions that you felt on the ground?
To be honest with you, I'm in shock. That was really it. You know, I think the biggest thing was you worked so hard as a unit, as a whole, to get to a point that we got to, and we were this close. You know, we were down, and we came back and fought and clawed, and to be that close, that hurts. And I didn't really know what else to do. I was exhausted. I just kind of just laid there. I don't know, man. That shit sucks. It'll be in my mind for a long time, and it kind of reminds me of last year going 4-23 from the field. That kind of fueled my entire season. Game 5 against Houston, in Houston, and fueled everything I did this year. It's just another thing to fuel me for next year. I'll be back. We'll be back. But that's really what that was.
OKC ball. 1.1 seconds left. The anxiety. This is enough time. Catch and shoot. Get a 3. Round 1 was incredibly eventful, to say the least. We started off watching some players play very competitive basketball. Then there was a pause because players wanted to use their voice, protest against police brutality and racism that happens in this country. And now, round 1's over. Round 2 is set, and we'll see you then.